Well, good evening to all. A special good evening to all our viewers. It is 7:56 p.m. and we are live on both our Sound the Alarm program on Caribbean American News Media Platform. We tonight have a special broadcast where we'll be dealing with addiction. Many families are suffering as a result of different types of addiction, and tonight we're going to have a discussion on how to overcome it. I'm going to give you some tools to help you deal with addiction. So share the live and tag a friend. I know it is not a popular live or program to have, but there are many families who need to be equipped, need to be aware of certain addiction that they might be affected by. And so I encourage you to share the live. A pleasant Sabbath to all those who do keep the Sabbath holy. This sunset somewhere in your area. The sun is going to be setting very shortly here in parts of New York. So again, we want to greet everyone and welcome to the platform. I'm going to give you time to share the live. Happy Sabbath to you, Laurencia Pear. Greetings to you and welcome to the platform. All right. So tonight is going to be a little boring for many, but for those who are hooked, families who are affected will be happy with this program. It is not for all people. In other words, it's a special broadcast that I believe I should have. I was moved to do so, and I plan to do it tonight. Again, we're going to be dealing with addiction. So if you know of a family or a friend who might be hooked on a substance, you can always let them know that we are here, and they can always come over to this program. Okay, so just bear with me as I try to pull up my gadgets so that we can have a beautiful program tonight. Again, we are dealing with overcoming addiction, and of course I would want to pray with you as a man of God. Bow your heads. Father, thank you for protecting us throughout the week, throughout this day. Thank you for your watch care. Thank you, God, for your presence with us as we open this study to equip family and empower family to be overcomers. May your Holy Spirit guide the discussion in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So I'm very much aware that we have Catholics, Pentecostals, we have a whole group of different people who view the program, and so we're very mindful of that. All people are welcome, of course, in this broad discussion that we will have tonight on addiction. And I know many of you have an idea, or you have ideas in your head as to what is addiction. What are we talking about here? And some of you might be addicted and you don't know. You might be hooked on something that you're addicted to. And we're going to give you some tools tonight in order to send bad habits packing. Sending bad habits packing. All right. So shed a light. Let me see if I can we can start the broadcast. Those who are not here will join us in this program. So first of all, let us look at the term here, addiction. Now we'll look at it medically, of course, on the whole idea of addiction. First of all, addiction is a chronic brain disease characterized by compulsive and persistent use of substance or engaging in a behavior despite significant negative consequences. It involves changes in the brain chemistry and reward pathways that leads to a number of different power lost, I would say, in that human that is addicted and who is suffering from that chemical imbalance, so to speak. And so I'm not here to diagnose anyone, but I am here to help you. And what I want you to do is to, as we go into the presentation, you can think about yourself. Most likely you might be addicted with something, of course, that you just can't get away from. Have you ever, let me ask you, have you ever really gotten yourself in a position where you just can't resist something that you know it's very harmful? It's harmful to you. It's harmful to you, your body, your health. Yes, it can bring injury to your body, but you just can't avoid it. You can't stop it. That sounds like an addiction, of course. Yeah, there's something. I know some of you will say, well, am I addicted to chicken? Am I addicted to rice? Am I addicted to sugar, to salt? Am I addicted to mangoes? Some of the things that you love, and some of them, by the way, can cause you some health issues. And let me just say something about while we're talking about health issues. If you were diagnosed with high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problem, high cholesterol, and the list goes on, and yes, Greta said coffee, and we'll talk about coffee, the harmful effect of coffee. We can look at that also as we at it. And coffee would be something that you would want to pay attention to, and what it does to your body, of course, how it alters the brain function, which also can be detrimental in the long run to the individual who is so hooked. For those of you, as I said, who you would diagnose with some sort of sickness, what is called lifestyle sicknesses, high blood pressure, diabetes, and we have cholesterol, which is on the increase. By the way, the diabetes and the hypertension, high blood pressure, those two things come sometimes as brothers and sisters, and it leads also to kidney failures and other organ damage. Yes, it does, and that's why you need to pay attention to this program, which will help you to overcome some of those habits that are very harmful to you, to your health. So let's look at a diabetic or high blood pressure person. Most of the times their cravings, you would be craving sugar or salt because of the deficiency, because the body is not functioning at full capacity. The body is not functioning as it should function, and therefore you have a lot of cravings as a result of those deficiencies. And because you yield so often to those cravings, then they become an addiction. They become addiction, where you find yourself not being able to control yourself, not being able to control your intake, whether it's sugar or salt. So first of all, you want to assess yourself. I'm not here to do that. You would understand your health. You would understand your resistance, your overcoming power. Of course, your stick-to-itiveness. You understand your health situation, and so you are determined to change your lifestyle, to change your eating habits, and it becomes a challenge, of course, Why is it a challenge? Because you got to understand the brain, the makeup of the brain, how the brain itself how it functions. And so if you get to understand a little of the brain function, then you would discover that the more you do something, it is the more you get comfortable, the better you get at it, and the longer you engage in something, it becomes part of you. And so the brain adjusts, the brain adapt to some of those habits, of course, and it becomes a part of you. And if for those teachers, those of you who understand learning, if you understand how the brain functions, psychology, then you would understand what I'm saying, that there are certain addiction, or most addiction comes as a result of giving in, constant giving in to the thing. And that's why if you also look at people who are obese, most of the times they just can't control themselves. They have lost their brain power. They have lost control of themselves. And let me tell you something, the greatest person that you can find is one that can control appetite, their stomach. They have that under control, under subjection, where it does not control them, but they control it. And anyone, I'm telling you, who have mastered the art of eating, self-control, seeing something and just letting it be. Let me ask you a question. How many of you can look at a piece of cake? You're diabetic. You're diabetic. You can look at a piece of cake and not eat it, or something salty. You can resist. How many of you? Very few, of course. Very few of you. So that's what addiction is. It's compulsive use. It becomes compulsive. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you got to get it. And some people are so organized in their disorganization, that they have timing, of course. There's a timing when they need to get whatever that addiction is. There is a timing. There is, when that time comes, that's what they go after. So it's an intense urge to use the substance or engage in the behavior regardless of its harmful effects. We're talking about addiction, and now we're at point one of compulsive use of that which is harmful. And somebody speaks about temperance, and they say, well, temperance is the moderate use of that which is good and bad. Temperance should be, as far as I'm concerned, not the moderate use, but temperance should reflect self-control. It is harmful, therefore I am not going to use it. Whether it's in moderate forms or excessive, I am not going to use it. Right? Moderation. So in other words, let's talk about an alcoholic. Now, an alcoholic don't understand what temperance is. An alcoholic, once he sees or smell the alcohol, will go after it. And some alcoholic have gotten a appetite, a taste bud for certain type of liquor. So you would hear somebody who drinks would say to you, you know, this is my favorite drink. Whether it's a whiskey or brandy or Sunset. Well, Sunset is St. Vincent. Sunset or Mount Gay in Barbados, or St. Lucia is Bounty. So those individuals have developed a taste bud or an appetite, the taste for a certain type of alcohol. So once they smell it, then they go directly, something goes off in the mind. And so they must have it. And sometimes you see how they react when they can't get it. They will borrow money to get it. This is when it's an addiction, and you become compulsive, and it leads to loss of control. Loss of control, where you no longer would moderately use the substance, but you have lost all control, and now you're compulsive, you are hooked. You just got to have it, or you either get cold sweat, you start getting a headache, you start feeling sick, you start experiencing withdrawal symptoms. And so you're no longer yourself. You become something that you and your family don't recognize. You will spend the family's income, the savings, your salary. You will spend a lot of it on that substance, that addiction, the thing that you're addicted to. It becomes very expensive for the family, and sometimes it breaks the family. It breaks the family and leads the family into poverty. All right, I'm going to give you the tools. Right now I'm just explaining to you what addiction is, what you should look for. And if you have diagnosed yourself and you've come to the conclusion that I am addicted, I have a problem, then we can help you. I can help you to overcome. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to be a gradual approach. And at the end of it, if you have some stick-to-itiveness, of course, you will get out, and you will look back, and you would question yourself, even in looking back. After the mind have healed, then you would look back and say, wow, that was me. And guess what? You will start to help others. You will want to help others because you understand the harmful effect of that substance. All right? So we have loss of self-control, difficulty resisting the urge to use, even when it causes problems in your relationship, work, or even health. And that's what we said earlier. So you lost control. It's compulsive, now we have lost control, where even though it may damage your relationship, even though you might be hurting your children, you might be hurting your wife. And some people are so addicted to stuff to the point where they lost control, and they've become aggressive. They have become aggressive, and so they get violent, and they want to hit, and they want to shoot. And that's what we see in the society, in most societies now. Lack of self-control to the point where people are hurting each other, people are shooting, young people are killing themselves. And to say that, while we're on that, I believe that St. Lucia has an addiction problem when it comes to, not only St. Lucia, but I'm focusing there for now because of the amount of death, the amount of killing that we're seeing among young people, lack of tolerance, substance abuse. People are just addicted to things, and when they can't get what they can't get, then they would bully, or they would get anything out of the way in order to get to it, and very sad indeed. So now tolerance, like I said, once you start getting yourself addicted, hooked, and you've lost self-control, then you become intolerant. You can't deal. Remember, the mind is not well. Now, at this stage, the mind is not well. The brain is not functioning as it should. And many of you would have heard people saying, I don't know what you have become. I don't understand why this is not you. What is going on? And most of you also know when someone is on a substance, how they act. They're different. Sometimes they act like a monster, and you can't recognize them. And you would say to them, wow, who is this? I don't know. I don't know who this person is. And as soon as they're off of that substance, then they get back to some type of normalcy, temporary normalcy, and so you start recognizing, they start making sense in their discussion. But once a person is hooked and they're addicted, and they're satisfying that addiction because they have lost control and they're now compulsive, what is going to happen is that there's going to be lack of tolerance. Of course, they're not going to be able to tolerate. Their fuse is kind of short. Have you ever heard that term, short fuse? The person has a short fuse, and so most of you would have seen a drunken person. That in a normal circumstance, this person would be quiet, not saying a lot of, very quiet and calm. And once that person is under the influence of that substance, then that person goes wild. They speak a lot. They say a lot of things. They do a lot of things. They can hurt. While on the normal circumstances, that person can't hurt a fly. But once they become a slave to that substance or that thing, then it takes captive of their entire being, and they become sometimes what you would consider to be a monster. A monster, someone, as I said, you can't recognize. So lack of tolerance, the need for increasing amounts of substance or behavior to achieve their desired effect. Now, the substance have an effect on the body, some type. Now, I don't understand what alcohol, I honestly don't understand when you drink, like personal experience when you drink, what it does to you, how you feel. I really don't and can't explain that to you. But what we have is a nation, a generation of addicted people who are addicted. They have lost control. There's no tolerance. And so people like that destroy themselves, all right? And so you have the withdrawal part, of course. They start withdrawing themselves from certain events that they would have accustomed of going to, certain clubs that they would go to, certain activities that they would normally go to on a regular, while they're normal, of course, then they start to withdraw from that. And I want to show you what to look for in the individuals who are hooked on bad habits. What you should look for. You can know if you pay attention. A lot of you, your kids are addicted, are hooked and stuff, but you don't pay attention. You don't know what to look for. Yeah, some of you don't know what to look for. The evidence is there before you, very clear, but you don't pay attention. Well, you should use the word pay attention. You don't know what to look for, of course. So in other words, you can have a child that is sexually abused in your home, and still you don't know what to look for, even though the child withdraws from things that they would love in the past. They don't socialize. They spend a lot of time in their room. When you have your kids in the home and they are hooked on substance, most of the times they isolate themselves. You don't see a lot of them, or they spend a lot of time privately in their rooms. They withdraw. All right? And by the way, the withdrawal part of it happens when there's a reduced use of the substance, or they can't get enough of it, or it's not available to them, and so they withdraw, and because the mind, again, the mind is sick. All right. So addiction can affect a wide range of substances and behaviors, including alcohol, which is the main one. We have drugs in different forms, legal or illegal. We have gambling. That's a big issue. Gambling is an addiction, of course. Shopping, yes. A lot of women are hooked on shopping. They get the money and they run to the store. They use that outlet to deal with the inner issues or the mental issues, psychological issues that they are challenged with, whether there's a problem in the home, problem with the husband, the wife, the kids, on the job. And so a lot of women turn to shopping, and they do excessive shopping in order to cover, to deal with that void or that issue that they are facing. So women, you need to look at that. Shopping. If you can't resist shopping, then it's an addiction. And also you have sex. Sex is a great addiction among the people. You have people are so out of control with that they sleep with anything and anyone that they find. A man will sleep with a man if he can't get a woman, the woman vice versa. Or animals, of course. This can be very dangerous. It can lead to child molestation or even rape. And that's why I'm speaking to you about these issues tonight, to empower you so that not only you can be victorious over them, but you can also shield your children, and you can also help others who might be going through. And I don't condemn people who are hooked on substance. It's a malfunction in the brain, and with help, of course, and support, they can overcome. So I'm not here to condemn anyone to hell, but I'm here to say to you that you can be whole again. You can get your life back. You can enjoy your life. You can get that freedom from the addiction. It is possible. It is possible. And I believe I can help in that matter. All right, so let's continue. Again, we're looking at addiction. If you're just joining us, it's a very boring discussion, but a very impactful one for those who are needing professional help. All right, so we spoke about alcohol, drugs, gambling, shopping, sex, and a whole set of, it's complex to tell you, to say the least. And so coffee is one of the greatest addiction too, of course, and coffee is as dangerous as alcohol. It alters the brain function, and it sets the brain on false alert, releasing chemicals that can destroy you in the long run, of course. So when you're supposed to be sleeping, coffee alters the brain and says to you, you're not sleepy, you're not tired, and it gives you this boost, this high, and then as it cools off, you start feeling a certain way that you must get that coffee. You have to get that coffee, no matter what. If you feel that way, you're addicted. It's an addiction. You must get it. It's a must. I must have it. I can't do without it. Where's my coffee? And you start acting a certain way. You would walk miles to get it if you have to. That's very dangerous. It means that the brain is not functioning. It's not functioning as it should. And it could be as a result of compulsive use, loss of control, and there you go. Addiction. So let's go to the screen so that we can have a broader discussion, of course, on the whole addiction. So again, the theme here: overcoming addictions, send bad habits packing. All right. And let me say before I go on, a lot of people who are hooked on substance, it will be difficult for them even to want to sit under the live, because what they would do is to set up a brick wall. So anything, any information, or anyone who tries to break through that wall, they would prefer to cut you out, to just not continue, of course. So if you have a family member, husband and wife, that is hooked, you would want to keep them under that live. You'd want to encourage them to stay under the live. It's going to help them. They would feel much better, of course, because the first step is to recognize you have a problem and that there is a solution to your problem. So one, we got to recognize that there's a problem, and we got to be willing to deal with the problem, and we got to believe that there is a solution to my problem. And the solution to the problem is what I really want to share. I really want to share with you tonight. And by the way, some people have had years of addiction. You know, that's why when you get rapists, of course, and child molesters, you got to deal with them two ways. Is not, you can't just lock them up, throw them in jail, and hoping that that will fix the problem. No, it will not. You know, that is just who that person is, and what that person need is medical intervention, psychological intervention. Most of the times, just throwing them in jail is not going to help that rapist. No, it is not going to take away that desire. But you know, that person comes out of jail and they sometimes go back to their same habits. And that's why here in the United States, they're being monitored. They got to register because the system, the professionals know that there's a possibility that that person would not have been rehabbed. That person will go back at their old trick, at the old game again. And therefore they register. They got to know where they are at all times. But in some of the smaller countries, they are just thrown into jail. When they finish their time, they go back into the society, sometimes into the same area where the victims are. And what happens there is that you expose the victim to psychological pain, and then you expose an entire community because you don't know who is going to be next, whose child is going to be next. So we got to pay much attention to how we deal with rapists and child molesters in our society. It's a sickness, and it is something that we will have to. It's a chronic brain disease, as far as I'm concerned, that need to be corrected. And when I say corrected, when we talk about chronic brain disease, sometimes you don't need medication to help the brain function or the body function effectively, but you would want to have series of therapy intervention to help that person to bring that to get that brain functioning, you know, effectively. So let's look at the screen here. So let's see where we're coming from. We want to help you break the power of Satan, because addiction comes from Satan. Yes, it is true. It is Satan in your life. You know, Luke 8:14 describe where people allow things to choke the wood out of their life. Yeah, and let me just pull this up, something here to help you if you think I am. And here's a text, right? A Psalm 9 and verse 9. It says, "The Lord is a shelter for the oppressed and a refuge in your times of trouble." When you are addicted, you are in a time of trouble. You're oppressed. And you're not oppressed by someone outside of yourself. You are oppressed by yourself. And that's true. You're oppressed all by yourself. Okay? So let's go continue. Okay, so let's see in the condition of addictions. Addictions to those things like cigarette, alcohol, drugs, sex, all these things. When we get in that condition, we cannot experience God's freedom found in Christ. That is Galatians 5:13, where we are not called into the spirit of one confusion or tie-upness, if that's a word. You should not be bound be easily beset by these things, such as these substances, of course, cigarette, alcohol, drugs. And I said to you that there are two things that are really destroying our society: alcohol and sex. Alcohol and sex. And maybe some of you who are listening to me, you are a sex slave to yourself, where you just can't control. You have absolutely no control, and you cannot find any way to distract yourself or to engage the mind enough. And some of the addiction that you guys experience, such as sex and those things, it is because your mind is just left to wander. You're not feeding the mind. You're not eating the right foods. One, you're not resting. You're not trusting in divine power. You are always negative. Whatever food you feed that mind, I mean, that's what the mind is going to become. If you feed it with negativity, you'll become a very negative person, and you would realize that you have no control. You're always angry. You're always upset. You're not forgiving. You cherish a lot of negative things in your heart. That gives you a very sick mind, and you're not able to see the positive things in life. You're not able to see the beauty of the beauty amongst the ugly. In other words, yes, you would only see the thorn. You might not see the rose. You might not see the silver lining among your trouble, because you have trained your minds to be negative. And even your home become a negative place. When you want a job, you become so negative. Anywhere you go, you are so negative that people don't even want to spend time in your presence. By the way, we're broadcasting on 3 of the platforms at the same time: Sound the Alarm and also Caribbean American News. Like I said to you, I'm not expecting everybody to be here, because it is a topic that people are not interested in. And that's what the devil wants, to have you not to be interested in the things that will liberate you, but have you to spend more time in the things that will enslave you and to keep you in bondage. And God does not want us to be living in bondage. He wants us to have freedom. And that's why he spoke a lot about freedom from sin, freedom from oppression. And that's why when Jesus walked the earth, he freed the people from their addiction, and he also freed them from their sin. And I like the song which says, "Would you be free from your burden of sin? There is power in the blood." And that is true. That is true. So let's continue, all right? So God wants us to get out of that condition. Many, not all, who engage in harmful behavior do so as a result of unresolved family trouble. Most people who engage in these harmful behaviors are individuals who have not dealt with a lot of family trouble. For instance, forgiveness, mercy. And I'll tell you, there are a whole lot of people who are walking around mentally sick because of family issues. Somebody stole the family land, one of the uncles raped the nephew or the cousin, and you just can't get over that. You can't eat, you can't sleep, you are harming your body using things. Now, the worst thing, let me tell you something. You know what I hate to see? A drunken woman. The man is bad enough, but a woman who is drunk is one who becomes loose in her behavior and is open to being molested, because sometimes you get yourself in a very vulnerable place where the opposite sex sees an opportunity to use you, and that is no reason for anyone to take advantage of anyone because they're out of their mind. And that's why, sisters, you got to be empowered. You got to understand that you got to face all these unserved family troubles that you're dealing with. Some of you have not forgiven your mother, your father. Sometimes they die. And because you can't deal with it, you get hooked. You start giving your body to men, even though you know that you're harming yourself. Even though you are aware that you're inviting evil spirits into your body. Even though you are aware that you are destroying your kidneys, your lungs, your heart, and the brain. Even though you are aware of those damages to the body, you have absolutely no control. Zero control. And you would walk down that dangerous path only one day to face the consequences of your own actions. Many are sick today, not because they had to be sick, but many are sick today because they have damaged themselves. They have damaged themselves. And I'm telling you, family problems is something that you must confront. You must deal with before it's too late. Because you can get to a stage where there's nothing in the world you can do. You can say all the forgive me and I'm sorry after death. It's not going to work. The dead will not hear you. Therefore, you got to deal with those issues as they arise, and deal with them. And some people wait until, as I said, you're on the brink, and then you want to approach it. Sometimes it is eternally too late to get those troubles fixed. So there's a whole, as I said, there is something that as human beings was given to us to help us stay in mental health, and that is forgiveness. Have you ever heard people say, I will never forgive this person? Have you ever heard, and it gets worse, somebody saying, I will never forgive my mother for what she did to me? Or I will never forgive my father for what he did to me. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that, friends? That is a very sick mind. Because the forgiveness really is to help you. Because the transgressor, the person who might have wronged you, maybe that person would have found peace with themselves, while you were walking around with that hate, that bitterness, that unforgiveness. Yeah? And with unforgiveness, what happens again is that you get yourself mentally sick. Mentally, you can function effectively. And it is only you that can heal yourself by letting go of those family issues. So, big problem when it comes to your health. And I'll say to you, I'll go a little further in saying, if you have a discussion, a one-on-one discussion with people who are chronically sick, you're going to hear a lot of stuff about what people did to them. They see themselves as a victim. You know, if you listen long enough, you'd realize that not all the time people have done anything to the individual, but that the individual mind has been so negative that everything they see. In other words, you would have an innocent discussion and their names are not being mentioned, but they would believe that you are speaking about them. A sick mind again. So every conversation that here is about them. Sometimes they suspect Sometimes you do nothing to them. Have you ever had friends who just stop talking to you? And you try to figure out, but what did I do? What did I do to this person? And you bust your head and you start thinking, maybe because I didn't say good morning, or maybe because I didn't call, or maybe. Have you ever found yourself in that situation? Well, it's a bad situation to be in, of course, but that friend that you are dealing with has psychological issues, of course. And there's also what you call a narcissist. That's an individual who do a lot of wrong, and they turn around and they blame you, who have done them nothing, for they doing what they did. And I'm sure that you would have met a lot of people who have done a lot of wrong and turn around and pretend like they're the victims. You're dealing again with an unbalanced mind, a sick mind, a chemical imbalanced brain that needs refocusing, that need some care from a professional, of course. And you find yourself contending for your life because you have a suspicious friend, a suspicious family. I don't know if you've met people, somebody's always out to get them. Have you ever met people that everything happens to them, it's obia, somebody did this to me, and everything is evil, a fly pass, and a bug in the house, a rat in the house, it's evil is somebody, a cat pass by, whether it's a black cat or a white cat, that's dangerous, that's not good. Have you ever met those type of people? Brethren, that is a sick mind. It is a sick mind. And I am telling you, if you have families like that, or friends like that, they can be a drag on your life. In other words, they can turn you old before your time. You can look 10 times older because of that type of stress. And we know that stress is the #1 killer. And that's why this program tonight is very important, and I wish more people were here, so that you can know what you're dealing with. And you must understand that you too need to guard your mental health. So there's a lot of stuff, when you see someone act in a certain way, you should not lose sleep on it, in the sense of wondering, oh, what did I do? No. You are damaging yourself. You're hurting yourself. Because one, lack of sleep destroys your mental health, your physical health. Do you know sleep is very important for the body? Rest. And I am surprised that a lot of Seventh-day Adventists who do no work on Saturday don't stress about anything, or should not stress about anything on Saturday. Many of us are sicker than those who have no Sabbath rest. Sabbath rest was meant for us. God is Lord of the Sabbath. It was meant for us, for our mental health, for us to reflect, to meditate, to free our minds, allow the mind to heal and rejuvenate, and focus us on creation. Vacation, rest is very important. If you are constantly in a chaotic situation, the possibility is there that you can develop some very dangerous health complications. Heart issues, sleeping issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, vision problem, skin problem, joint problem. Most of you who have pain in the joint is because you're not happy. So your bones is dried up. The Word of God says that laughter is like good medicine. Rejoicing, happiness, and praise, it is medicine to the soul. If you are constantly in a negative environment, then you will find yourself very sickly. You got to go on vacation, take a break. And if you don't have money to go on vacation, and you live in a small country, you can try to go at a family member, you can try to go in a different community, try to go, if you're in Gros-Islet, in St. Lucia, you can go to Soufrière on vacation. You don't have to leave the country, but you want to leave the environment, the regular environment that you're in. You need to get out, step out of it, so that you can start your mental health healing. Many of you folks, under the sound of my voice, need some mental healing. But you got to learn to forgive. It's divine. It's much bigger than you see. I'll tell you something about me. I keep no enemies. And that's why I don't have an issue with sleep. Can you say the same? So maybe you need to start forgiving. And when I say forgive, you don't have to go back into the same friendship, of course, but you forgive and you move on if you have to. You give up, forgive, move on. You're not going to discuss it. You're not going to be, every time you see the person, you're not going to be getting angry. You're not going to be reminded constantly, because you have closed that chapter in your life, in your mind. And so that person does not get free space in your mind, but your mind is controlled by you. You have no one staying there who is not invited into your mind. Your mind is free. Nobody is living there rent-free, of course. And it is the truth, what I'm saying to you. It is true. Psalm 50:15 says, and call on me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and I will honor, and you will honor me. That is God giving us the recipe. The wise man spoke about it. So, forgiveness and mercy is important for one's mental health. It is important for one's mental health. So, let's continue. Let us continue. Or did I miss something here? Okay, when an individual or family does not seek to heal those wounds, the legacy of trauma is often passed down to the next generation in varying degrees. Think about it. You pass it down to a generation. And it takes me to the place, to this point, generational curse and blight. Have you ever wonder why everybody else is prospering and you're not prospering? Everything that you touch it turns to ash. Things don't work out, and you say to yourself, well, I have bad luck. Or your children, they're not just making it, they're just trouble. They're in gangs. You can't get them to walk on the straight and the narrow. Have you ever questioned yourself? And I'm sure many of you have questioned yourself. Some of you are suffering from generational issues. Might not really be generational curse. Well, it might become a curse if it's not dealt with. It'll become a blight on your generation, on your family. And you got to break that. Yes, you got to break that, friends, or your family will continue on a downhill trajectory. Downhill, when they should be pressing on the upward way, gaining new heights every day, according to the songwriter. So the trauma, the wounds of yesteryear that keep passing on. And by the way, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to remind you too much about your yesterday's trauma. But you got to break that generational blight. And it can be done. It just takes one family member to stand up and say, okay, we're going to stop this. We're not going to be fighting. We're going to be loving on each other. We are going to forgive. We are not going to speak about this at family gatherings again. And some of you, what you need to do too is to get rid of some of the alcohol beverages in your homes. You know that there are individuals in your home who are addicted to those things. Alcohol has absolutely no nutritious value. None. A matter of fact, alcohol and drugs have caused the lives of millions of people in the world. Whether it be accident, an innocent person coming from work, walking along the highway, going home innocently after tired days of work, and a man drinking at the bar all night, drinking the family monies away, is impaired, driving while intoxicated, and kill that innocent person, causing trauma for an entire family and more, or entire community sometimes. Alcohol is deadly, it's dangerous, and it is not your friend. If you love somebody enough and they're alcoholic, you would not rest until you see that person delivered from that addiction. And this is the hard truth that we got to face. We got to speak to ourselves. Many of us are encouraging the destruction of innocent people. By sponsoring and supporting the excessive use of that old serpent called alcohol. I believe alcohol was made in hell as far as I'm concerned. It destroys families, friends, and it causes death. Also, like I said earlier, millions of people have lost their lives. And in the millions are those who have never consumed alcohol, are those who were on their way to their homes, are those who were in their homes. Majority of the rape and child molestation that you hear about, it is linked most of the times to alcohol abuse. Most of the broken homes that you would have experienced, you would have seen, stems from the excessive use and abuse of alcohol. A lot of women today cannot make kids because they themselves have been abusing alcohol, and their bodies are no longer alkaline, their bodies become acidic. And so the body cannot function in a normal way, but the body is in survival mode constantly. The body is constantly fighting for its own life. And so what the body does is the body, when it cannot fight anymore, it starts to attack different cells, different organs, It starts to release different chemicals that are dangerous to the body, because the body is about survival. And even when you're dying, the body is fighting to survive. Do you know that? You are intelligently designed. When you consume harmful substance, you put a tremendous burden on your body to the point where it begins to set up a defense. And what happens is that you start experiencing dizziness, migraines, bumps on your face. You start looking older. You have digestive issues. You have psychological issues, vision issues, taste bud issues, hearing issues. Your heart is out of whack, high cholesterol, your high blood pressure is at a chronic stage. Your diabetes is out of control, arthritis, and you start suffering from a lot of stuff. Sometimes it is not related to alcohol, by the way, but because of the constant abuse of the body, then the body have no choice but to constantly be fighting. I would always make the joke, that's why there is heart attack, because the heart attacks the body. You're not hearing, I'm going to make you hear. Sleep. When you resist sleep, it is the most dangerous thing that you can do for the brain and for the other organs in your body. When you mess with sleep, friends, the type of effect that it causes on your body, you cannot even imagine. Because the body, of course, needs to rest and repair itself, because what the body does during the night, during your rest period, is that the body repairs itself. Did you know that? That's why addiction, it is dangerous for your body. When you keep forcing your body to stay awake, you are doing to your body what your body don't deserve. That is, the body cannot repair, cannot store. And the brain, if you understand the makeup of the brain actually, there's stuff that goes into the short-term memory, into the long-term memory. How does it get there? In the unconscious, subconscious. When you see something, you might not recognize that something immediately, but it is stored. During the day, your eyes are the avenues of your soul. Your eyes are like cameras. And you have a recording system in the brain. You have what is like a filing cabinet in the brain. They are different compartments. Just bear with me, folks. Good. So there are different compartments in the brain. So you walk along, you see a beautiful woman. Nothing to see here. The brain stores it. You walk along the store, you see a nice sneaker. Nothing about that. The eyes snap it, save it. Yeah? When you go to bed, when you go to bed and you close your eyes, there's a whole lot of electronic movements in the brain. It's a whole lot of movements, folks. Your brain now is more busier than it has ever been. And what it does while you're sleeping is that the brain start to store things, file away things. So it removes things from the short term to the long term to the different parts of the body. It starts storing. That's what the brain does at night when you sleep. Start to store. Start to review what you saw during the day. And sometimes you dream. You dream. You start dreaming. You say, well, where did I see this? I saw this before. And what happens in the subconscious is you wake up in the morning and you go down to a place and you ask yourself, wait a minute, I thought I was here before. Deja vu. The same thing is happening over and over again. That is intelligent design. You were intelligently designed to the point that in your subconscious, your body, your brain stored stuff and make them make a lot of sense to your system. And that's why everybody can learn. Some people are slower than some people are faster than some people have some brain function issues that you will have to teach them, use different methodology in order to teach them how to do things. So you got to maybe slow down, explain things differently because their brain does not operate like everybody else. So nobody's really dunce and does not have the ability to learn as far as I'm concerned. There are different strategies, there are different approach that you can take. The brain, friends, is intelligently designed by a loving creator. And if we do not take care of what was given to us, then I believe we will have some major issues in our lives. All right? So let's just move on. Alcoholism and drug addiction, including prescription drugs. Workaholism, seen in long hours, extended or numerous business trips, many hours working at home and on vacation. A lot of people are hooked on work. Just tell you, they don't want to rest. They're always going. They're high energy, of course. And no matter how high energy you are, you got to slow down and you got to take a rest. You got to rest, friends. And there's an old song that we would learn back in the days. It says, smile a while, give your face a rest. Smile a while. There's a time for everything under the sun, but it is very important to wear a smile. All right? It is always important. So we also have the addictions of sex addictions, including pornography, affairs, pedophilia, prostitution, chronic masturbation, etc. and etc. And the list goes on and on and on. And a lot of men are hooked on pornography. And like I said, a lot of men are having a lot of different affairs. And now there's a big thing where men are turning to each other, men and men, and even women on women. But men are now living double life, and they're both with their wives and with other men. So again, the mind is not well, you know. Sex addiction, it is dangerous. We can explain that type of addiction in the sense that you have no control. Anything you see that looks like it looks, you would have no control over that, to the point where you will force yourself on the opposite sex or the same sex, when you, because you have no self-control, again a sick mind, you're just loose. You're willing to satisfy that craving on the job, on the road, anywhere you can find a private place, and sometimes even in a public place, you would just get yourself trying to satisfy that addiction. Very sick mind. And I'm telling you, we live in a very sick society. Relationship addictions involves an adult engaging in multiple romantic relationships, often choosing people who are incapable of commitment. Do you know of married men who just loose? They don't want any commitment. They just want what they want, and they want what they want now, and there is nothing you can say to stop them. Huh? So we have smoking and other tobacco use, money addiction, overspending, gambling, hurting of finances. You have media addiction, including situations where overuse of the computer, games, television, or reading becomes an avenue of escaping life stresses and responsibilities. So some people turn to computer, games, and social media. Facebook. I'll tell you something, while we're on Facebook, a lot of people who are on Facebook are addicted. And they're trying to get away from the stresses and responsibilities of life. Many of them have family issues that they have not dealt with in the past. I have made a lot of assessment on some individuals who are on social media, and I can say to you that many of them are hooked on, they are trying to escape the stresses and responsibilities of life. And some of the responsibilities of life is they being held accountable for their past actions. Yeah? Maybe they would have done something that would have caused injury to someone, physically, psychologically, whatever it is. And so they use these avenues to escape and to camouflage sometimes their loneliness. Second Corinthians 10 and verse 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not those of the flesh. Instead, they have the power of God to demolish fortresses. Addiction starts out as seemingly good, or entertaining, or even fun. But they begin to consume you, and the devil begins to build his fortress around you. And do not give the devil an opportunity to work, Ephesians 4:27. So it explains itself, what I just read. Some addictions, it start like something good. It's nice, entertaining, it's fun. And like I said to you, friends, sin will take you further than you want to go. So as you entertain yourself, as you satisfy yourself, one day you would realize that you have been destroying yourself and your family and you are not now in a place of lack of control, no self-control, none whatsoever. And so you try to build this false narrative, or the false picture that you're good, that everything is fine. There's nothing to see here, but your entire being is on fire. The enemy have built a hedge around you. And not only your family can come in to help, and many have lost their lives. Many have lost their lives. Not only fighting the addiction, many have lost their lives fighting against the cure to the addiction. Yes, there are those who are fighting to overcome, and there are many who have lost their lives because they would have lost their health. And once you lost your health, sometimes there's no way to regain it. Like the alcoholic, you become a dialysis patient, and you don't understand the discomfort, the inconvenience of that thing, and it shortens your life. And so when you get to that stage, you start looking back with guilt, and then you're piling on your already broken mind. You're adding more burden because you're now living in regret, looking back at where you could have changed course. You could have accepted the help that was being provided to you in order to help you to get off of those substances. Smoking. And not only that, you're destroying yourself with smoking, you are destroying your entire family. Because you're smoking among your wife, you're smoking among your children, you're smoking among your neighbors, and secondhand smoking is deadly also. So when people sometimes say, one life to live and let people do what they want, and we should not allow people to dictate, nobody is dictating. We are just saying to you, that you're not on an island by yourself, but there are other family members who would have to deal with you and the after effects of your bad habits. There are family members that will have to give up their own life so that you can have a better life. There are family members that will constantly have to be at the medical institution to take care of you because you have chosen the wrong path. So it is not about you living your life how you feel. That's a careless statement, of course. It is about you thinking about your family, your children, your community, the burden that you will place on them. Anything outside of that conversation would be selfish, to say the least. So don't say you live all your life just drinking and smoking and just living anyhow, sleeping with Tom, Dick, and Harry, and then you get AIDS. Then you keep spreading it, destroying other lives. And what happens? Family member got to feed you, got to clean you, got to run to the store for you. And all you say is, I'm a big man. Let me live my life how I want. But when you get to the point of you cannot live your life how you want, and a doctor is now dictating, and then a family member now got to step in and make decisions for you, then it is no longer you living how you want. You do not have the choice at this point. So addiction, friends, does not only affect the individual who is addicted, but it affects an entire community. An entire community. Entire families are broken when you die before your time. So, I would encourage you folks to pay attention to how you live your life. Pay attention to your mental health. And for those of you, let me just say, for those of you who are undocumented, I want to talk to you for a minute. It's a very stressful period. Uneasy lies the head of him that wear the crown. This is a very stressful period for you, of course. But I'm going to give you a tool, some help in dealing with the whole immigration discussion that is being had now. You need to find a peaceful place within yourself. You got to say to yourself, it does not matter if I go back to my country, I will be all right. Say that to yourself. What you do not want to do is to tell yourself that you cannot survive anywhere else but the United States. Do not put yourself in that prison. Before you went to the United States, you were living and breathing. Do not box yourself in to the idea that your life is only in the United States. You can go back to your country and maybe have a more fulfilled life. Maybe find more time to do the things that you once had in your mind as a dream. Go on the beach, plant your backyard garden, not paying rent, owning your own home, being on your own property, being with family and friends that you left behind, going back to the church that you once worshiped in and you had fun in the worship and everything else. Think about the positive things that can happen to you if you go back to your country, or if you should be sent back to your country. So, for your mental health, breathe and repeat to yourself as often as possible that I will survive. I can survive if I go back to my country. Don't you dare sow a seed of doubt into your own mind. Find your peaceful place and say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I will survive by the grace of God. And I want to speak secondly to those of you who were molested, maybe as a teenager or a child. Say to yourself that your best days are before you. And your rapist, that abuser, that bad person will not have power over you all your life. That you can overcome, that you will overcome. And that molester will not define you, will not decide your attitude. But by the grace of God, you will soar to new heights. And you will continue to press on the upward way according to the song and gain new heights. Every day still prayed as you're onward bound, as the Lord plants your feet on new territories, on higher grounds. Then higher than the highest will be God's ideal for you. So if you have been molested and you can't focus, you just can't see how you can get over that horrible experience, I want you to say to yourself, it was not my fault. I did not encourage it. I did not invite it. That person violated me. But that person will not decide my future by the grace of God. And start your healing. Start your healing. Start looking on the bright side of life. You're breathing. You have all the opportunities in the world to be healing and happy again. But determine in your heart that you will be happy and that you will heal once again. Yeah? And you'll be okay. You see, your thoughts and your words will decide how high you go. Words can be life and beauty, and words can be destructive, and words can be great stumbling blocks in your path for progress. So speak loving words of kindness to yourself. And don't expect anyone else to speak it to you. You speak it to yourself, and you say to yourself that I'm more than a conqueror. I'm going to conquer today by the grace of God. Some of you are suffering from depression. And you wake up in the morning and you just feel like doing nothing. Do you feel that way? Let's have a conversation. When you get up in the morning, do you feel like there is no hope? Like you just don't care right now? You just don't want to do anything? You're just tired with everything? You have no desire to... You're just tired eating the same thing? You're tired? You just feel like life is meaningless? If you feel that way, you're depressed. You need a break, a reset, quickly. You need to have an emergency plan right now. And that is, I'll help you build your emergency plan. You need to start planning your day. Plan your day. Look at the bright side of your tomorrow. Many of you are depressed because you're looking for a husband or a wife and you just can't see any way. Some of you feel that you're ugly, you're not making sense, you're uneducated, you don't have money, you live in a plywood house, you just can't, things just not happening for you, and you feel depressed. You should not be depressed. Don't feel depressed. Poverty is hard, yes. But you are beautiful in your own way. There is someone out there that will see your beauty. And inner beauty means a lot, folks. So, get up. Put on a different outfit. Get out of your nightgown. I know you don't feel like getting out of it, but get out of your nightgown, take a bath, do your hair, brush your teeth, get some breakfast, put something nice and take a walk. Go to visit a friend, an old friend. Go and visit a family member that you have not seen in a long time. Just prepare yourself and go out. And I guarantee you that you're going to start feeling different. You'll start feeling reset, revived, renewed. You will. But if you stay in that space and you don't reset urgently, you're going to go into very deep depression. And it will be difficult for you to get out as quickly as you should. Some of you are depressed and you are disillusioned, discouraged. I don't know. Have you ever heard that? I don't know. I don't care right now. Have you ever heard that? I don't care. I don't care with anything. I don't care. I don't care what happened. That's a person who is fed up, who have not gotten any good news in a long time. Yeah? You are precious, friends. You are loved. You are unique. You are not your own. You are intelligently designed. It's not the end of life for you, friend. No, it's not. Your better days are before you. Your yesterday, your tomorrow will be better than your yesterday. Yes, it will. But you got to settle that in your minds that the president and his immigration plans will not drive you into depression. Your lack of funds, your lack of a husband, lack of a wife, your lack of children, lack of a green card will not determine your happiness. No, you want to rise above that and say to yourself, I see trees of green. Red roses too, I see them bloom for you and me, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbows. Yes, just look around and see that there's a wonderful world around you, friends. There's a whole lot to discourage you and to drive you mentally insane. And I want to speak to a group before I leave, a group of people, of women especially. Maybe you have been trying to have kids from younger, now you just can't have any. You have none. And you are depressed every time you look at other people's children. You wish you had your own, but you could not. It was not your fault. Don't beat up on yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. Some of you beat up on yourself over a lot of things that you should not beat up yourself on. Maybe it could have been decisions that you made in the past too. But the past is the past. Don't let the past decide on your future. Don't do that, friends. Don't do that. So I say to you, you are beautiful, you are special, you are intelligently designed, and therefore nothing or no one is going to decide on your tomorrows. Isn't that a beautiful thing, friends? To know that you can master your own, you can be happy all by yourself. Yeah? Maybe you're going through a loss of a loved one, You've lost a loved one. That could lead to depression. But that too shall pass. You will get over it. Slowly but surely. You got to live life. Some people will say, do the things that you love, but not all the things that you love are in your own interests. Could be detrimental to you. Have you ever heard that term? Do the things that pleases you, that you love. Those things that you love might be addiction, might be dangerous things that will destroy your family and your health. So in life's journey, think about others. Jesus, others, and you. That's the community, friends. You are in a community with support people. You're not alone. Each of us have support people around us. We lock them out when we don't want them in our business. Is that true? Of course it is true. Yes? Brick by brick, drink after drink, smoke after smoke, change after change, bad movie after bad movie. These things begin to dominate your thinking and eventually your life. Eventually your life. 2 Timothy 2:26 says, so that they might escape from the devil's snares, even though they have been held captive by him to do his will. The devil has used you and your bad habits to build a wall around you so that you are not able to fulfill God's best for your life. God wants good for you. And the other thing I want to correct is that a lot of you are walking around with somebody's trying to kill you, the devil, they put obeah in you and all kind of stories. Let me say to you, that mindset is a dangerous mindset. It keeps you back from progress. It keeps you back from progress. And when you are kept back from progress, you find yourself getting addicted to things, to substances. And like I said, even sex. So overcoming addiction, send bad habit kicking. God's weapon to destroy those strongholds will power you. All right? We need to use our ability to choose wisely. You got to use that ability that you have of choice. Make right choices. Make the right choice. Instead of alcohol, I'll drink water. I'll tell you the truth, I have never been I'm trying to use the right word. I've never been tempted with alcohol. Never. I've seen others drink it, and they say, what you drinking? Give me a malt. And I'll tell you what happened. I went to a cocktail with Ralph Gonsalves and some key individuals in St. Vincent some years ago. We went on a private island for a reception. And they were, what is that? Ordering their drinks, everything. I don't know how to order drinks, to tell the truth, because I don't know about bars. I don't know about those things. I have no idea what to do. And I was like, wow. And so a gentleman came to me and he said, what are you drinking? I said, well, I don't know. I don't drink. And he said, why don't you have a virgin drink? I'm like, what is that? He said, well, it has no alcohol in it. And then I ordered a virgin pina colada, something like that. And it was the most beautiful drink that I had. I was satisfied with that. So there are certain things that some of us are not tempted on And our temptations are different. Remember that. Our temptations are different. I might be able to resist alcohol, but there are a whole lot of people who are not able to resist. And there's a passage in the Bible which says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. I don't know if those of you who are not churched, you don't go to church. So those of you who don't go to church, that is actually a passage. It says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. He will run from you. He will move on to the other person. So you got to learn how to be overcomers, huh? How to overcome things, obstacles, challenges in your way. You owing someone, you got to take your time. You don't have to kill yourself or, lose your brain cells. Talk to the person, whatever it is, give me some time, blah, blah, blah. But you can overcome things, obstacles in your life. You have to make a decision for your daughter, your son, for school, blah, blah. You don't see where you're going to get the money from and all those kind of things. Just hope. It's not the end of the world. It might seem to be the end of the world for you, but it's really not. Tomorrow is going to come. So remember that tough times don't last. But really, tough people do. Yes, and Job was a very tough guy who went through some very hard situations. Job lost his family. His children was killed by the enemy. He lost his farm, his animals. He lost everything he had, Job. Everything went wrong for him. He got sick. And when his wife could not take it anymore, you know what his wife said to him? Why don't you curse God and die? In other words, commit suicide. Just die. And Job said no. He resisted. In spite of losing everything and all the bad news and the depression, he was depressed. Because if you read Job carefully, you would realize that he was depressed. And he would call on his only hope, his only help, But his friends were not advising him properly. His wife was not. She was tired. She was under pressure too. And she's seeing her husband depressed. She's seeing her husband sick. She's seeing, we just lost our children. We lost our animals and everything else. And the wife, I understand, would have been depressed. And she says to him, end it now. No more, Job. Joby, no more of this. We've had enough. Some of you believe that you've had enough. But just when his wife thought that Job had had enough, Job had a turnaround. His tough times had come to an end. And do you know, friends, that Job's former the days before Job was better than the days behind him. All what he lost, he regained. And he was restored. He was whole again. His life was meaningful, rewarding. Job was just experiencing blessings after blessings after blessings after blessings. Why? He held on for one more night, one more day, one more trouble, one more hard time, one more bill, one more bad news, one more loss of a friend, one more loss of a husband, one more loss of a wife, one more betrayal, one more loss of his job, just one more of everything. Job had come to the last of the one more and received tremendous reward. Friends, isn't that a beautiful story? So I say this to say to you, with your addiction, you can overcome it. Hold on. Ask for help if you need it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to admit that you have a problem. And you're human, of course. You're going to be discouraged. You're going to have your weak points. You're going to have your strong points. You're going to cry. You're going to be happy. It is okay. But never beat down on yourself when you are at your weak point. You are more than a conqueror. You are a victor. Huh? Yes. You are you are more powerful, than you think. Yes. So start speaking words of kindness to yourself. Start thinking positive thoughts. Look at a bright tomorrow. And look at that silver lining that lies above your mountains of trouble. And say to yourself that one day, I'll overcome. One day, I'll go right over that mountain into the promised land. One day, all of this stress will turn around. Keep hoping. One day you'll get all the plywood you need to build your house. One day you will get the piece of land that you so desire. One day you'll get the car. One day you'll get the perfect job. One day you'll get the husband, you'll get the wife, you'll get the child, you'll get one day. You'll get your visa, you will get your green card, you will get your citizen. One day. Always hope for that one day. Hold on to hope, because hope would be the only thing that you have. And because of that hope, you would have received your victory. But it starts in your own mind. You can be an overcomer. I'm going to read some of your comments and I'm going to end it here, okay? I just wanted to empower you. All right. So let's look at, hey, Merlin Gill, greetings to you. Augusti, greetings. All right, Claret, greetings to you. And Aubrey said, addiction and adultery are real pitfalls for families. Yes, addiction, and I spoke about adultery. And adultery, for those of you who don't understand it, adultery is you're married and you go out of your marriage and have sexual relations with individuals who are not in that married relationship. It's not your wife, it's somebody else that you deal with. That is something that is very real. It's dirty. It's nasty. And we must never accept it as normal in our society. I don't care what people say to you. We must never accept these things to be normal. Treat it as not being normal. But the moment you start accepting it as normal, then you are encouraging bad behaviors in your society. Nasty behaviors, really. So the design was one man to one woman, and that will continue to be God's plan, because of the pervertedness and the sexual appetites of man. They wanted 3 wives, 4 wives, 10 wives, 11 wives. The Lord permitted it, but man destroyed himself during that process. And even the wise man Solomon, with all his concubines and all his women, he said, vanity, vanity, vanity of vanity, vexation of spirit. All is vanity. And then he declared, once you take the world, you give me Jesus. Take the world, give me Jesus. But yes, Aubrey, addiction, adultery. And normally, as I said, adultery comes in a package. It comes with alcohol abuse, and it comes with unresolved past. Right. So people just use these things to get out, to settle their minds. Yeah, people tell you, when I drink, I feel free. I feel free when I drink. You ever hear that? I feel different. Let me drink a little to smooth my nerves. But then you got to face the reality after. Isn't it true? Of course, that is true. All right, so folks, we're going to end now, and it was nice being here with you to share with you these words of encouragement and support. And I encourage you, friends, do not encourage anyone into drinking, smoking, any of those habits. There's a lot of other habits that are very productive, sports and other things that you can do to occupy your time. But drinking, I discourage it strongly. It destroys family. It destroys community. It kills the innocent. And we can't say it's good. We can't. We can't. You know, we just can't, folks. So again, blessings to all. Have a beautiful Sabbath evening to those who keep the Sabbath. And be kind, be good. Remember, you can break those bad habits by the grace of God. You must determine in your heart that you want to change. You want to be different. You want to do something different with your life. So each victory, remember, will help you another to win. Father, bless these your people, those who are addicted. I ask that you give them the strength, mental strength, God, so they can be overcomers. Teach them to surrender to you, who loves them and wants only the best for each of us. So may we sleep well, guard us and protect us. In Jesus' name, amen. Folks, this was nice being here with you. This has been a Sound the Alarm program broadcast on Caribbean American News and our Sound the Alarm platform and other platforms beyond us. So blessings, and I look forward to seeing you for another study. Dr. Harmon is on assignment on the mission field overseas, and send his love to you, and will be with us after that mission overseas. He's on official mission business, and I should be joining in one of the countries. I believe I will be on a mission field in Guyana sometime next year, by the grace of God. And I think we reschedule either for Grenada and Guyana. I believe they're working out the details now with the authorities so that we can go in. So blessings, folks, and be a blessing to others. All right? Be good. Do good, and good will follow you. Good night.